What's going on, everybody? Here we are. We are back with the Week 7 NFL picks. Another not so great week last week. We went 9-6 last week, 62-30 on the season. We're still doing pretty good. I'd like to be doing a little bit better. Two tough weeks in a row. Let's get back on track this week and let's jump right into it. First up, we got Thursday night football. The Steelers go into Cincinnati to play the Bengals. Joe Flacco's second week in Cincinnati. I don't think he actually looked all that bad last week. For coming in for just a few days, jumping straight into that offense, he looked pretty good. You know, Joe Flacco's a journeyman. He's played in many, many different systems. I think that does work in his favor for jumping right into a new team and starting immediately. So he did look okay last week. It is a short week, but ultimately a couple extra days at practice for Joe Flacco this week to get more involved, to get more comfortable in this Bengals offense. So I think that will help him out a little bit. The one thing that he does for the Bengals much better than Jake Browning is he gets rid of the ball really quickly. And that's going to be very important this week against a Steelers pass rush that is pretty good. It looks like Highsmith is probably going to be playing, and TJ Watt obviously is an absolute dog. So they're going to need to get the ball out quickly to have success against this Steelers team. It seems like on the Bengals side of on the Bengals defense, it seems like Trey Hendrickson is probably going to be out, as well as this defense has just really, really struggled all season. Steelers are kind of a hard team to judge so far. They've had ups and downs, but ultimately they've won a few games so far this season, and I think they're definitely showing flashes. Rodgers has looked okay to good at the most for the most part of this season. You know, he had a couple turnovers against Seattle when they played earlier in the year, but ultimately I think Rodgers has done what he's needed to do to keep this team afloat so far this season. And for this game, I just trust the Steelers much, much more than I trust the Bengals. The Steelers' defense is pretty good, and I think the Steelers are going to get it done pretty handedly in this one. I think the only time the Bengals win this game is if Flacco goes out and throws for 300 yards, similar to like what I said about the Bengals last week playing the Packers. And Flacco is just not a flamethrower. He's not going out for 300 yards this week. Next up, we got the Eagles at the Vikings. And the Eagles are struggling, man. They had an absolute breakdown last week against the Giants. That was a pretty embarrassing loss. They got handed a loss from the Giants. I mean, two rookies, Jackson Dart and Scatterbo, just dominated the Eagles last week. So there's definitely some concerns. You know, for the last couple of weeks, I've been saying the Eagles when they were 4-0, I was saying, you know, the Eagles are 4-0, but they haven't looked good. But there's no pictures on the scorecard. Well, now there's a couple losses on the scorecard for the Eagles, so that's definitely something to be aware of. On the Vikings side of the ball, they've been pretty inconsistent, ups and downs. A lot of injury concerns up front. Both quarterbacks are questionable at this point Thursday in the week. We don't know who is starting at quarterback. It could be Wentz, it could be McCarthy. Ultimately, I don't think it makes a big difference. My concern for the Vikings in this game is their run defense. The Vikings run defense has not been overly great all season, and the Eagles running offense hasn't quite been what it should be. But in this game, I think Saquon and that Eagles offensive line gets the run game going, and ultimately I think they dominate the time of possession. Eagles play just enough defense and get the win with mostly Saquon Barkley in this one. Next up, we got the Rams at the Jaguars, and the Jags continue to look pretty good. Liam Cohen is a heck of a coach. Heck of a coach. He did it with the Bucks last season. He's doing it with the Jags this season. Looks really, really good. One thing to note is on Wednesday, Liam Cohen said Travis Hunter is going to be the number one option on a lot more offensive plays. You know, whatever that means, we don't exactly know. Does that mean Travis Hunter goes from 2 catches to 3 catches, or does it mean he goes from 2 to 8? Who knows what that means? Ultimately, I do think that will lead to more success for the Jaguars offense because if anything is a weakness for this team, so far it's been their passing game, specifically downfield passing. And I think Travis Hunter can actually be a great downfield threat. They've been using him a lot underneath all season. I think they could open things up deep with both Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter downfield. The one thing I think to note in this game is it's really going to be strength on strength. The Jaguars' offensive line and running game has been fantastic all season. But on the other side of the football, the Rams' defensive line is really, really good, especially at stopping the run. On that note, when the Jaguars stay balanced, they're a great football team. When they don't make Trevor Lawrence go throw 35 times a game, 40 times a game, they win football games by playing good defense, staying balanced on offense. And my concern this week is that the Jaguars are not going to be able to stay balanced against a Rams defensive line that could mitigate the Jaguars rushing attack. On the Rams side of the football, their offensive game is it's on fire. It's been on fire all season. There's been ups and downs, but for the most part, they've been on fire. I know Puka Nakua may not play this week. If anything, he's going to be limited, so we're kind of going to just factor him out for the purpose of evaluating this game. At the same time, the Rams still have a lot of weapons on that side of the football. Devontae Adams is an absolute beast. I think Tutu Atwell is an underrated receiver, so I think the Rams can still have enough consistency on the offensive side of the ball without Nakua. The one thing to note here in this matchup, in terms of how these teams match up against each other, is the Jaguars run a ton of zone, and for the Rams, Stafford is great against zone, but he's great against zone when Puka Nakua is out there. Nakua is a zone killer, whereas Adams is much better against man defenses. So I think that could work against the Rams this week. Ultimately, I do think that the Rams are just a better football team. I love the Jaguars this season. They've been putting it together, but I think the Rams are just a little bit better. And I trust that defense more than I trust the Jaguars defense. Reason being, Jaguars defense has been bend but don't break, and they've been winning off turnovers. I don't think Stafford turns the ball over 2 times in this game, and I think the Rams win because of it. Next up, we got the Patriots going to Tennessee to play the Titans. And this one is Mike Vrabel's revenge game. I think he wants to win this one by 60. He was a great coach for Tennessee. I know they never really achieved anything great, but they never had a good team for him. He had winning record after winning record and did good. He performed well with what he was given. And I think he's going to come out swinging in this one. The Titans just fired Brian Callahan, who's been absolutely horrible as a head coach. So can we really say an interim head coach is a downgrade? I don't know. But at the end of the day, the Titans are just dysfunctional, whereas the Patriots are red hot. Patriots passing game has been absolutely fantastic. May looks great. Diggs is coming alive, and Booty's been good so far this season. The Patriots offensive line looks really great. Will Campbell so far this season looks like an NFL star, if I'm being honest with you. He looks like an absolute star. And the Titans are just dysfunctional. They don't really have anything going for them. And with that being said, we're going with the Patriots in this one. Next up, we got the Panthers at the Jets. And in this one thing in particular to note is that it looks like Garrett Wilson will be out. And that is an absolute killer for the Jets. In a passing game that's already been really bad this season, it's going to be much worse. They've got nobody to throw to. Garrett Wilson has been taking up a huge target share, and with him out and Justin Fields, who's just not a great passer, I think the Jets are going to really struggle to move the ball through the air. They're going to try to run the ball nonstop, and honestly, this is a Panthers run defense that has struggled. However, the Panthers are going to absolutely just load the box, and if they can just absolutely attack the run and force Justin Fields to beat them throwing, I think the Jets are going to have a lot of trouble on offense. On the defensive side of the ball for the Jets, on the offensive side for the Panthers, I think the Panthers have really figured something out running the football over the last couple of weeks. They've run a ton of 12 personnel. Those tight ends are blocking great, but they're also receiving really great. So the play action passing has been working well for the Panthers, as well as just running the football down teams' throats. And I think the Panthers are going to look to beat the Jets in their own game in this one. I think the Panthers want to dominate this game on the ground, continue to take the same blueprint that they've used over the last 2 weeks and write it up again against the Jets this week. Ultimately, I think the Jets offense is going to be garbage without Garrett Wilson. Justin Fields is not a 17-game starter. He's a fill-in quarterback at best. I'd love to see him succeed, but it's just not looking like he's ever going to be that guy. So we're going to go with the Panthers in this one, and I think that they could win this one handedly. Ultimately, it's going to be a lower scoring game, so I think both teams run the football for the most part, but I think the Panthers are going to take care of business fairly easily in this one. Next up, we got the Dolphins at the Browns. And the thing to really, that's going to be the X factor here is the Browns defense. It's still so good. Schlesinger is coming alive. Obviously, Myles Garrett is an absolute beast. And for the Dolphins, their offense runs through Devon Achane. And I think if the Browns can mitigate his performance for the most part through their strong defensive line stopping the run, and then Schlesinger covering him quite a bit through the pass game, Dolphins are going to struggle a lot on offense. On the optimistic side for the Dolphins' offensive game, Tua's looked a little better the last couple of weeks, and I think they have a little something going there. But the Browns have a tough defense. They're going to have their work cut out for them this week. Browns' offensive side of things, they're going to need to run the ball much better than they did last week. If they want to win football games, Dylan Gabriel can't throw the ball 52 times. That's just the reality. He's not a good quarterback. They need to replace him and put Shedeur in. At the very least, I don't care if Shedeur is successful, see what you got. They're probably going to wait until their bye week to do that. I wouldn't be surprised if after the bye, Shedeur comes out as the starting quarterback. But when the Browns are playing offense, they cannot rely on these quarterbacks to throw the ball 52 times a game. Their algorithm is playing strong defense and running the football. So the Browns need to win this game by using Quinshon Judkins, by playing strong defense, and I think they absolutely can do that by shutting down Achane and running the ball against a Dolphins defensive line that's been really, really bad this season. Browns get the win in this one. Next up, we got the Bears going to New Orleans to play the Saints. And starting on the Chicago side of the ball here, Bears are on a 3-game win streak. They've been a lot better over the last 3 weeks. Specifically, their defense starting to figure it out. They've been blitzing much more over the last 3 weeks. I think they're a top five. They're blitzing at a top 5 rate in the NFL, which is definitely something that's been working for them over the last 3 weeks. The thing to note with that is Spencer Rattler, if he's done anything well, he's graded out really well against the blitz. So I'm wondering if the Bears make an adjustment this week and how their defense looks if they're not blitzing the quarterback hard. Can they drop back into coverage? Can they defend against the run game? We're going to see this week. For the Bears, their offense looks good when they're able to stay balanced. I think this is a similar offense to the Jaguars, where if they're balanced, they look good, but if they rely on their quarterback, they look bad. I know the Bears' passing game has looked good for the most part this year, but when teams are able to drop 7, even 8 into coverage, no quarterback's going to be all that successful, and the Bears have struggled to run the ball so far this season. The Saints have been pretty good against the run, so I'm not sure if I see that changing this year. I think the X factor in this game, though, is that the Bears' defensive coordinator, Dennis Allen, was the Saints' defensive coordinator last year, and if anyone knows how to stop Spencer Rattler, it's Dennis Allen. So I think that's going to be really tough for the Saints to get a ton going offensively, and if they do get things going, I don't know if they're going to keep up with the hot Chicago Bears offense. Ultimately, I think Caleb gets enough done in this game. He does really, really good in a clean pocket, and the Saints struggle to rush the passer. So I think that the Bears are going to get this one done, specifically through Caleb Williams. I don't know if they're going to be able to run the ball as good as I think they'd hope to this week. They need to run it better to be successful over the long term, but I think they can really get it done just with clean pockets for Caleb and playing reasonable defense, with Dennis Allen being the X factor in stopping Spencer Rattler. Next up, we got the Raiders at the Chiefs. And starting with the Chiefs, I mean, man, they've been inconsistent. Just lost to the Jaguars in a big one. They didn't look all that great in that week. They go out and lose to the Jaguars. They go out and beat the Lions. And everybody wants to talk about the refs. Don't get me started. There was a whole lot of bad calls in favor for the Chiefs against the Lions. And that just is the Chiefs' story, but we can't count on that. For the Chiefs, Rashee Rice is coming back from injury this week. I think that's going to be a huge thing for that offense. It's going to open it up a whole lot. They've done good with their substitutes with Juju Smith-Schuster, Tyquan Thornton, Hollywood Brown, but ultimately this offense runs through Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Travis Kelce, and a combination of Pacheco and Hunt. So they've been dealing with a lot of guys who aren't typically involved in this offense, and I think when Rashee Rice comes back and they're able to run the normal game plan they're looking for, they're going to look much better. I think that Chiefs defense is coming around just a little bit. They still don't look quite how they should, but I do think they're coming around. On the Raiders side of the ball, this offensive line is absolute garbage. We've been saying it since the preseason. We've said it pretty much every single week. They're not going to win many games if they can't run block and if they can't protect for Geno Smith. And ultimately, this Rams team is just struggling. And they're going up against a Chiefs team who haven't really beat anyone good yet. I won't give it to them against the Lions. The Lions did not perform as good as they should have that week, and I hate to say it, but the refs changed the course of that game. So yes, the Chiefs beat the Lions, but I don't really think the Chiefs have played all that well at any point this season. I still think the Chiefs win this game soundly. They're just a much better football team than the Raiders, and they're going to get it done here. Next up, we got the Colts at the Chargers. And starting with the Chargers, they are dealing with a barrage of injuries on that offense. They've got, obviously, Hampton is on IR, Joe Alt is hurt. There is some rumors he will be coming back this week. Definitely keep an eye out for that. Time of recording, it's looking like he won't be active. And then Quentin Johnston obviously was out last week, and it looks like at this point he will be active, but that's definitely not confirmed. In the meantime, while Alt has been out, obviously with Rashad Slater being out for the entire season, the Chargers offense has really, really struggled, or their offensive line has really struggled. And it's really making it difficult for Herbert. He's not a quarterback who does all that good under pressure, and it showed over the last 3 weeks. They're going to need to protect him much better this week, as well as run block better if they want a chance to beat the Colts. I mean, the Colts have a fantastic defensive line. And on the Colts side of the offense, they are a team that is consistent. They don't have negative plays, and they ride behind that great offensive line. So it's going to be a tough matchup for the Chargers in this one, who have been up and down, going up against a hot yet consistent Colts team that rides the offensive line. They run the ball well, they play action pass the ball well, and they've been playing strong enough defense to win a lot of games. And I think the Colts get it done with that same formula in this one. Next up, we got the Giants at the Broncos. And the story here for the Giants is the swagger that they've been playing with. I mean, Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo look awesome. These dudes are bringing life to New York where they haven't had it in years. I mean, even going back to the DJ and Saquon days, I wouldn't say they even had nearly as much life as they do now. So there's some excitement happening up there for the Giants. Definitely playing with some swagger. I think they've got something good rolling for them. Ultimately, do I think it's sustainable for long term success this season? I think that's questionable. They've been hot recently. At the end of the day, though, I think they've gotten pretty lucky so far. For the Broncos, they need to run the ball a little better. Bo Nix has proved that he's not an overly consistent quarterback, at least so far this season, and they can't rely on him to go out and win games, at least all by himself. So the Broncos are going to need to run the ball better, give Nix a little bit more time in the pocket, some play action stuff on offense, and they're going to be able to do much better and give Nix some more security and consistency. The thing that worries me here for the Giants is just that Broncos defense is legit. I mean, they're good against the run. They're great against the pass, specifically with that pass rush. And I think they're really going to contain Dart. And the speed on this Broncos defense is going to make it difficult for Scatabo to have a big game. So ultimately, I trust the Broncos defense shutting down the Giants offense more than anything in this one. I expect it to be a low scoring game. Ultimately, though, I think that the swagger falls short for the Giants in this one, and the Broncos get it done. Next up, we got the Packers at the Cardinals. And starting with the Cardinals, I mean, we're not sure who's playing at quarterback this week. Could be Kyler, could be Brissett. Kyler was practicing on Wednesday in a limited fashion. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be playing on Sunday, but ultimately, I don't think it matters. Brissett looked pretty good in that offense last week. It was a much different scheme than they've used in the past. Much more dink and dump versus shots downfield and mobile quarterback play from the Cardinals. But I actually think that worked a little bit better for them, and they maybe should try that a little bit when Kyler comes back into that starting job. Ultimately, that Cardinals run game has been pretty bad, though. The offensive line hasn't done what they've needed, and the trio of running backs with DeMarcado, Carter, and Bam Knight has just not been all that great. I mean, they're down to their third, fourth, fifth string running backs. So what can you really expect from a team that doesn't have a great offensive line running the ball? And to beat the Packers, you need to stay balanced. This Packers defense is really, really good. They've proved it week in and week out. And I don't think the Cardinals are going to have a whole lot of success against them on Sunday, no matter who's in at quarterback. For the Packers on offense, they are maybe the most balanced offense in the NFL, and that starts with Josh Jacobs. When the Packers can ride Josh Jacobs, give him 15 to 20 touches per game, and just let him go to work, do his thing, And Josh Jacobs has a good game. The Packers have a good game. They can throw the ball better. They can run play action better. They can spend less time on defense, where it seems that defense maybe is getting tired or something in the second half because the Packers D has looked trash in the second half of games. So I think that ultimately the Packers are just a much better football team in this one, and they're going to be able to run the ball right on Josh Jacobs, win the line of scrimmage, front and back in this game, and the Packers are going to get it done. Next up, Cowboys at Commanders. First of all, for both these teams, I'm very surprised that they each lost last week. I mean, the Cowboys got absolutely run over by their ex teammate Rico Dowdle last week. He said it's coming, and he came to play. Looked like a beast. I know Javante's been good for the Cowboys, but you have to wonder if they questioned letting Rico Dowdle walk in the offseason. For the Commanders, got the loss last week. They didn't look real good. And I think the X factor here, we've talked about it a couple times, is when Terry McLaurin is not on the field, it limits their deep passing ability greatly. And this is a team that loves to throw it short, loves to run the ball, but they need the deep threat to open things up, and they haven't had it. It looks like Terry McLaurin will probably be playing on Sunday. Think that's going to change things a bit for the Commanders this week. The X factor in this game is the lack of run defense for the Cowboys and the great running offense for the Commanders. Ultimately, I do think the Commanders can run on Sunday and beat the Cowboys in that way. The thing that worries me is the Cowboys' passing game. It does look like CeeDee Lamb is coming back. George Pickens looks like an absolute beast. They've got a couple other weapons there with Ferguson, Tolbert, Turpin, Javante Williams, even just a little bit. So this Cowboys offense is good. Going up against a Commanders defense that hasn't been all that great so far this season. But when you dominate the line of scrimmage, you win football games. And I think the Commanders take control of this game by running the football and ultimately get it done in that fashion. Next up, we got Sunday Night Football. We got the Falcons going to San Francisco to play the 49ers. And the Falcons are coming off a huge win against the Bills on Monday night. They looked good, man. They looked really good. I know the Bills have struggled a little bit over the past couple of weeks, losing to the Patriots, losing to the Falcons. But this Falcons offense looked really good last week. Bijan's been absolutely outstanding so far this season, and the offense revolves around him. It's looked a lot better in the past couple of weeks when they've gotten him involved in both the run and the passing game. And for the 49ers defense, Fred Warner out for the season. I think it's going to make it much more difficult to guard against Bijan, who's been an absolute star. You could argue Bijan Robinson is the best running back in football this season, and maybe even going forwards. He is a dog. And especially that change of direction ability. Bijan Robinson is an impressive guy to watch play football. And for the Falcons as well, you know, they're a hard team to judge. I mean, they go out and they win last week, but they also lose 30-0 to the Panthers. So it's a really difficult team to pick. Getting on with the 49ers, we don't know who's going to be playing quarterback this week, Purdy or Mac Jones. Both are questionable. I expect personally that it will be Brock Purdy playing on Sunday. But at the end of the day, I've said it a couple times, I don't think it really makes a difference. Call me controversial. Brock Purdy's not that great of a quarterback. He's in a Kyle Shanahan efficient offense where you've seen Mac Jones even succeed in that. So no hate to either one of those guys, but I think it's the offense more than anything. And the fact that it's Purdy or Jones, I don't think it really changes anything. What the Falcons have done well defensively this season has been pressure the quarterback. And for the Niners, what they've done well on offense is get the ball out quickly. So that's a tough matchup here for the Falcons. They're definitely going to have to make some adjustments to their defensive game plan. I don't know how well they're going to be able to sit back in coverage. I especially don't know how well they're going to be able to cover Christian McCaffrey coming out of the backfield. And at the end of the day, I think the Niners are the better football team. It looks like they might have Kittle coming back this week. I think Pearsall is more likely out than in. But ultimately, I think the Niners are the better football team, especially if they can get Kittle on the field. You know, maybe a slight edge if they can get Purdy over Mac Jones, but getting more healthy, they're a better football team. What worries me is their ability to guard Bijan Robinson without Fred Warner. So if the Falcons win this game, it's going to be because of 200 yards from Bijan. Ultimately, I think the Niners can do just enough to slow him down and win this football game. Next up, we got the Buccaneers at the Lions, and we're repping the Baker Mayfield jersey this week. We just got this one in, pretty pumped about it. One of the MVP favorites right now. Baker's an absolute dog. How can you not love him? He gets up, he talks his shit, he plays hard football. He's a fun guy to watch, and they are hot. The Buccaneers have looked really, really good. The thing that concerns me for them on offense is all those injuries at receiver. It looks like Egbuka will be out. Godwin also likely will be out. Mike Evans likely in, but at the end of the day, they're still pretty thin at receiver no matter, which one of those three guys is on the field. I imagine two will be out and one will be in. It's seeming like Evans will be in. And the Bucks offense has been good, but they've struggled a little bit without those receiving threats. When they get closer to the end of the season and get healthy, the Bucks are going to be a really, really scary team and a hard one to stop. Because if Baker Mayfield is being a hummer, if he's being a flamethrower, if he's throwing the ball well with all these weapons on offense, Bucky Irving included, they are a tough team to stop. But they're not so healthy this week. For the Lions, they're coming off the tough loss to the Chiefs. I don't even really want to talk about it. We mentioned it earlier. I don't think it's a huge factor here. But I think Goff and the Lions offense match up really, really well against the Buccaneers defense. The Bucks do try to pressure the quarterback, and I think Goff is great against pressure. They also throw the ball across the middle really, really well, and that's where the Bucks struggle in pass coverage. So I think that's going to be tough. Ultimately, at the end of the day, there's an X factor in this game, and it's Jahmyr Gibbs. I think this Lions team is hot. Throw last week out, they're maybe the hottest team in the NFL. I expect Gibbs to have a big day, and I think the Lions are just a better football team, and they're going to get it done here in this one. Last up in our Monday Night Football doubleheader, we got the Texans at the Seahawks. And the Texans here have gotten 2 wins in a row, but both are against bad teams. They played the Titans and they played the banged up Ravens without Lamar Jackson. So I can't say I can give the Titans a whole lot of credibility here. What they've done better in the last couple games is run the ball. They're going to definitely need to do that if they want to keep games close. Their O-line is still the biggest weakness on their team, and it's made them struggle a whole lot. For the Seahawks, I'm willing to admit I was wrong about Sam Darnold before the season. He has been red hot, playing as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL so far, and the Seahawks look really freaking good with him out there. The only thing that concerns me for the Seahawks on offense this week is JSN matching up against Stingley, and then that Texans pass rush going up against a Seattle offensive line that's looked good so far this season, but with largely the same crew was pretty bad last year. So I'm wondering if there's ever going to be any fall off, or if they really just picked it up so far this season. Ultimately, Seattle is a much better football team, and unless Sam Darnold chokes in this one, which he hasn't shown it all season long, I think Seattle can definitely get the win. The only thing, as I mentioned, that concerns me is that Texans defense, but ultimately I don't think that Texans offense is going to be doing nearly as much as Seattle does on offense, so I think the Seahawks get this one done on Monday Night Football. Anyways, I hope y'all all enjoyed this one. Hope your picks are going good so far this season. Hopefully you followed me through the first 4 weeks, but not weeks 5 and 6 because that really sucked. Week 7 is going to be much, much better. We're going to get it done this week and jump back to the top of the Pick'em group. Hopefully y'all follow my picks. Let me know what you think in the comments, and y'all have a good one. Good luck.